Hello there.
Hello there. How you doing?
Good.
Hey, Ron. So everyone, hope you're enjoying the weather. Not too much of enjoyment over here.
There's a storm coming in New York. Actually, it already came. It started.
Oh my goodness, it's so dark all of a sudden. But we're all safe and sound in the home and enjoying,
indoors behind the masterminds with you guys.
Yeah. So I don't know where everyone's watching from, but have a lovely Friday afternoon. This is episode 54 of Behind the Masterminds. The applauding is a little too early. Okay.
Sorry, people are just excited. That's all.
All right. Our special guest today is Ron from Extraordinary Investigations.
Yay!
There's the applause. Okay. So, we're gonna get our raffle first done before we start the show. So this week's raffle is from Mail Order Mystery.
Yeah.
The winners will be able to choose one of their mysteries: Treasure Hunt, The Enchanted Slumber, Spies, Lies, and Serious Bad Guys, or The Case of the Missing Bigfoot.
Wow, they get to choose between one of any of those four. That's amazing.
They're all like really fun kids games, and they're quite challenging for adults too.
Yeah.
You say that? All right. Are we ready for the winner?
Well, I'm feeling very psychic today. I'm going to use a mental drum roll. So I'm just going to close my eyes and see what happens. You tell me when you're ready to start.
I think I'm ready.
Are we ready? All right, Here we go.
Mark C.
Mark C, congratulations! Ooh, I'm curious what he's going to choose.
Bigfoot, probably.
I mean, Mark is in here right now.
Yeah, there's four really great choices here. All right.
So, our special guest today, Rod from Extraordinary Investigations. All right, now, Rod is the creator behind Extraordinary Investigations, a series of puzzle novels, conspiracy thrillers, where the story unfolds through the reader solving puzzles, cracking codes, and following the clues. The first Extraordinary Investigations case, The Morgan File, came out in July 2020, and encouraged by its reception, Rod released the second, The Midas Project, in April this year.
I love these buttons. Thank you.
Away from the world of puzzles, Rod has worked for the last 20 years in the spirits industry and currently works in marketing and innovation for a Scotch whiskey distillery. Oh, we need to talk. Yeah, I can't wait to see what you prepared for the drink segment later. Let's do that one more time. Ready? Okay. Beyond that, he does a bit of work on the side for Lego, designing models and play experiences for the best-selling range of Lego books. He has also written a trilogy of steampunk adventure novels. All right.
Wow.
I mean, there's so much to talk about, so let's start with how did you stumble upon the idea of writing puzzle novels with all these other interesting things that you have going on in your life? Was this something you thought of doing from a long time ago?
Yeah, so sort of had the idea for a story that unfolded rather than was just read, or for quite a while actually, been banging on about it to my friends for years, and then people sort of just going, then do it, stop talking about it and just do it. And so probably started playing around with it a little while ago, maybe about a year before I published it. I had started playing around and things, and then work, real life gets in the way, and then with the pandemic and lockdown and things, that just made me sort of go, do you know what, I'm just going to get this done, and got it finished in about 3 months actually, and then published, and then the reception was really good, and sort of blown away by it. I kind of thought it's always that thing where you just think, I just hope a few people enjoy it, and you'd maybe make your money back from having to build a website and all that kind of stuff. And the reception's been really good, and so I kept going and done another one. So
that's awesome.
All right.
I'm sorry, I just have a do it button.
Yeah, did it sound like this? Was it? Sorry, Cece's having way too much fun with the soundboard.
Sorry.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Well, we've actually played both of the books recently. Actually, we have to break it down to 2 days, which is not normal for us because we love to binge. So 2 days was like, oh my goodness, this was a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, but there's just like, a lot of information that you can absorb from these books. I would probably call it like half puzzle, half history lessons, if somewhat. How long did it take for you to create these? Like, other than you said it was like 3 months per book or something?
Well, I think the first one was interesting because as I say, I've written some other stuff and I've always had that story. So, just read, I'm a bit of a history geek and I love that period of history that is the start of the first book and what kind of happened towards the end of the Second World War and, the great powers fighting over what was, left of Germany and, stealing all the scientists and all this kind of stuff and what happened to some of the treasures and things like this. I've always been interested in that. And so I'd always had that idea that there was maybe a thriller or something in there. There was a great plot for a thriller, and there have been plenty that I don't think it's a spoiler to talk about the Nazi gold train. That's kind of, I think it's on the back of the book and in the Amazon blurb, so that's not really a spoiler. There's been lots of TV shows or documentaries that have touched on what happened to the Nazi gold train, and I just thought that was a great seed for a thriller. And then, so I always kind of had the story in my head about what, an investigator would be looking into this and would stumble on this large, conspiracy that had grown out over 50 years from the end of the Second World War. And then the thought of actually, could you do that story as a kind of, I suppose the very fancy way of talking about it would be an emergent narrative, which sounds ridiculous, but I just love this idea that, there's stuff to read, but it's actually only when you sort of get pulled into this wider world and the story kind of unfolds around you, and so that model. And then I thought, well, the obvious thing is some secret codes and then some puzzles, and at the same time there was a kind of, I'm going to call it the Journal 29 effect. That there was a sudden burst of at-home kind of escapey or puzzle experiences that weren't just puzzle books. And so I kind of thought, actually, that's really interesting. And so I started doing it. And the difficulty for me was, I've written a bit. I'm by no means any sort of amazing author, but, I'd written a bit. So I had a fairly decent idea about how to tell a story. But then to do it through puzzles and also to design the puzzles was the real challenge for me in the first one. Yeah. And, that's what took the time rather than the story. Whereas with the second one, I had a head full of puzzle designs now because I'd spent so long looking into it and thinking about how you could do puzzles that revealed a word or let you crack open a bit of a website or took you onto a search that would reveal historical facts that were interesting and engaged. But what I didn't have for the second one was a ready-made story in my head. So I had to go and really, so the challenge with the second one was actually less the puzzle design and much more the narrative and making sure that worked and had the same balance that I think people seem to, in the feedback I've had, people seem to really enjoy that mix of fiction and fact that was going on in the first one. And so it was really important to me that, not really by design, but that feels to me that's what Extraordinary Investigations is. It's this thing where actually, hopefully, there's a little bit of you when you suspend a bit of disbelief that makes you go, "Is this real?" Right. And that was what I wanted to do. So that was definitely the challenge with the second one, was actually building the story that could be told through puzzles. Whereas on the first one, I had the story, I had this kind of thriller. It was actually designing the puzzles to tell the story. So there's been an interesting kind of switch in the challenge.
That's interesting that you reversed it, and you first did first was the story, then the puzzle, and now it's like puzzle, and then you wrote the narratives according to that. So that was very interesting. Yeah. By the way, if you guys have any questions you'd like to ask Rob, this is your time. You might get lucky and get a few free hints for him on that final puzzle that doesn't have a solution, which is what we're hoping for. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, we're getting some intel that a message has been left for you.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we'll have to decrypt this and then present it to you shortly.
Okay.
All right.
When are we doing this?
We'll probably get to that maybe like midway. We'll see how long it takes.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, there are definitely like points where you had to mix fiction with nonfiction and stitch the info together to make sure that the puzzles also make sense, with the storyline. But what were some of the challenges you had to face with these pieces of puzzles in mind?
Well, I think for me, it's that thing about providing I was really keen to provide a variety of challenges, of puzzles, so a mix of code breaking and a mix of visual puzzles or logic puzzles or number puzzles. So there's certainly in the first book there's a couple of ones that some people have just gone, that's not a puzzle, that's just maths. And right, okay, yeah. And it was just about making sure that there was a nice mixture.
Yeah.
Because I think otherwise you end up with some people do not like maths puzzles. They go, oh no, I don't do that. And so I wanted, if we were going to do that, there's only a couple in there out of there's about 30 kind of in my head. There's about 30 puzzles in the book, if you know what I mean. And so it's just making sure there was a decent balance between them. And then the biggest challenge right at the outset was it wasn't going to be a book to begin with. That hadn't been the plan. I've actually got the prototype. So the prototype was you were going to get a file. So the Morgan file was going to be a file, and in it would be loads of envelopes, and so they would be like this, and then you'd open it up, and inside was all the these are all the materials, and you might recognize that bad boy.
Yeah.
And I love that idea, the physicality of it, and producing that, and it's going to be a Kickstarter campaign. That was my thoughts, and then the more I thought about it as I got into it, the more I thought the physicality is great, but the kitting. So if you imagine, even if only 100 people had backed it on Kickstarter, there's about 65 to 70 components in that physical prototype version of the book. So that, if there had been 100 backers, that would have been 7,000 components that I'd have been kitting myself. And so even if you operate at a really high level of accuracy, you're bound to make a couple of mistakes. And that would be two people's experience. Even if you made 2 mistakes out of 7,000 components, it's still 2 people whose experience and purchase is ruined. And you could probably, how would you deal with that? Would you put in a sheet of all the components and say, please check? That feels like it's taking you out of world. Because if it was a real evidence file, it wouldn't have that list of here's what's in it. Can you check that and let us know if we've lost a bit? That would have taken you out of the world. And so the fear of, imagine if you'd done this kind of Kickstarter and people were excited to get it, and then they got it and it didn't work. That was kind of terrifying, and actually made me think I'm not going to do this. Because I don't want to go through all the hassle and excitement and trouble and risk and fear of doing a Kickstarter campaign and then to have people disappointed, or that they felt like their experience had been ruined.
Absolutely. And
I couldn't really see a way around that until I came up, suddenly thought, actually, if I put it in a book, not only is the kitting sorted, I've got control. So unless Amazon doesn't print a page, which has happened to someone, but thankfully only one as far as I know. But unless they don't print a page, everything's in the book. That. And also from a cost point of view. So just whilst, the components were not going to be ridiculously expensive, I wasn't going to invest an absolute fortune in it. It would have still been, I don't know, £40, $50 kind of price to get your copy of the book. And what you immediately do if you've got something that is, one, outside our world, actually explaining what these experiences are is quite difficult. People sort of look at you funny. You know, the best phrase I came up with for mine was a puzzle novel. But actually explaining what this is quite difficult. It's quite complicated. It's a different idea of a sort of narrative structure, and you're then asking people to pay £50 for it. Right. So if you were lucky, I was going to, 100 people backing it would have been a roaring success. That would have been fantastic. But as it is, doing it as a book and means you can put it out on Amazon, which is an amazing marketplace that is available in much of the world, certainly much of the English-speaking world. I wasn't going to do translations, so that kind of felt like brilliant. That's great. And the pricing, being able to do something like that is actually, so I think in the US is $17, $18. And in the UK we're talking like £14-15. Suddenly made it feel much more accessible, and I think a lot more people maybe took a risk on something that sounded a bit odd, and so as a result, I think it's probably reached thousands of people rather than if I had been lucky on a Kickstarter, maybe a couple of hundred people.
That's interesting.
Right. So it's for me it's really interesting how quite a difficult problem actually turned it into a fantastic opportunity to reach more people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So actually, I was thinking because he was talking about packaging, we have a lot of amazing creators also that tune into the show. They're great packagers. I recently saw Mobile Escape and Scarlet Envelopes Instagram. They have a systematic way of packaging their products. So it's labeled as A, B, C, Z, and then all in pretty little cute copy holes.
Yeah, they're very cautious of the weight and everything.
Yeah, great organizing skills.
I absolutely adore the physical experiences that I've played or I've had a look at, and I mean, the care and attention to detail and just some of the finishing on it's just fantastic. I absolutely love them. But the thought of doing that myself just absolutely terrified me.
We got some questions for you.
Yeah, so Mark C says, what is Rod's favorite whiskey? You're going to have to find out later because I'm pretty sure he brought a whiskey for Think a Drink. So stay tuned for that, Mark. Myri wants to know, does Rod do all the graphic designs for the books himself? Because it's really cool. We totally agree. The images are great. Are you the one responsible for that?
Yes, I am. So thank you very much. That's great to hear. So I am not a designer, but I can drive some image processing software and can edit stuff, and there's a lot you can do to make things look good just by putting a vignette and a distressed paper effect on stuff. So but thank you very much. I'm glad you like them. It's actually a bit I really enjoy, especially on something like both of them actually, where you've got materials that are supposed to be coming from different eras, and so trying to get the look of stuff from for example in the first book, stuff from end of the Second World War, early 50s, and then stuff from the 60s, and then into maybe the 80s, and then modern. The bit I love the most was some of it's almost parody pastiche stuff of modern business speak on some of the websites and things like that. I work with a lot of corporate mumbo jumbo sometimes, and I quite like twisting that and just giving it this wee edge in my stuff that it's maybe a little ridiculous, but it's not so ridiculous it couldn't be true. So
right.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about the backstory of each of these books if people haven't played them yet?
Yeah, so Morgan File is you are asked to join an investigations agency called the Extraordinary Investigations Unit, they basically look into the problems that nobody else can solve. And both books, you're handed a mystery to look into, almost like a little starter. It's not a big deal, but it becomes a big deal. And so the whole point was that it was just an unusual event or a mysterious occurrence that you were asked to look into that led you down this sort of, rabbit hole into this like sinister warren of conspiracy. And so that was something I wanted in both books. The first book is all about a sort of historical researcher who's been on the trail of the Nazi gold train. So that's a real historical mystery. What happened to a train full of looted art treasures, and he thinks he's found it, and then he goes missing. And so the story is about you looking into that. So it's, you go to his flat or apartment, and they've taken all the papers and notes that were there, and tried to put them into order, and so you're looking through his notes and trying to follow the trail he was on, and it gradually leads you back to the past, to what happened at the end of the Second World War, maybe what happened to this treasure, who did what with it, and then brings you up gradually to the modern day through basically a sinister conspiracy of people who are still using that money and in a more modern way for being a sinister corporation.
Yeah.
So that's the first one. That's the Morgan fight. And then the Midas Project was, I still wanted that mix of, is it fact, is it fiction? I still wanted that mix of some history and some newer stuff. And so it's a little different. So it takes you, so it's a mysterious robbery at a museum, which appears to make no sense whatsoever, because the items were then returned unused. So what was the robbery about? And actually that robbery then takes you, because the items that were stolen, they turn out to have been basically significant artifacts from an individual of historical significance as who was Elizabethan alchemist, shall we say. And
Rod,
so then again,
what made you choose these two themes out of like the countless of other ones that are out there? Like, what made you choose these to start with?
It's good so certainly for the second one, actually, it was the trigger event of that. So that robbery really happened. So the museum those items were stolen from the museum on that date, and they were returned. So that, to me, that was the little bit that that's the key. That's the bit that you go in, and then what comes off that story. And as soon as you get into ancient alchemy, that would be a pretty valuable secret if it were true. And so then that then allows you to play with that about, if that secret were true, what would people do to get hold of that secret? Who would be most interested in it, and what would they do with it? And again, that you get into that modern day mix of hopefully fact and fiction. So
that kind of answers Orsi's question there.
Yeah, she wanted to know where did you get your
inspiration, because if he has a case that's actually real, he plays off of it. He adds a little, bit of a perhaps fantasy, like things that he could work with. Yeah. And then that's how he develops his ongoing game.
By the way, we apologize for the ambient sounds courtesy of the FDNY and the NYPD. There's just a lot going on outside.
Well, there's a lot. There's a big storm coming. We just know that.
Yeah. Rod, I'm gonna we've decrypted the file, and we wanted to play it a few just to give you some time to think, and then maybe give us whatever your answer would be. Again, we have never seen this before. We're just kidding. We actually seen it, but this is specifically for you. This is Cryptic Forward
from the last episode.
All you have to do is just copy what I do. It's really easy. So pay attention. Johnny, 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 whoops, Johnny, whoops, Johnny, 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 Johnny. Just do that. It's easy.
All right. That was the file that we decrypted for you.
Are you ready?
You can do it now, or you can do it
now.
Do it now? All right. Well, I would save it for later, because if you get it wrong, you're going to have to drink whatever you're bringing for
he can start drinking now if you want.
Yeah. Yeah, you can.
You ready for this?
He's ready. Okay.
Okay, go for it.
Johnny, 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 whoops, Johnny, 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 Johnny.
That is incorrect, sir. You have to drink, but you can have another shot towards the end of the show.
Yeah,
so.
we'll replay again for you, and then you can think about it.
Yeah, usually we like to ask like during Think or Drink, but what are you about to drink, sir?
Well, I'll have to pour it out. So if should I do that now?
It's
you know
like
what? Let's do it. Let's do 2 drinks later.
But I've got the most important thing for if you're having a whiskey cocktail.
Okay.
Which is big ice.
You got the ice.
So
can I get one of those? I'm drinking. I'm drinking neat. So.
Oh, those are big ice cubes. Yeah.
So you gotta have a big ice.
I guess you can answer Mark's question. What is your favorite whiskey?
Yeah, what is your favorite whiskey? Is it what
I couldn't tell you what my favorite is, but I like my whiskey in 2 varieties. Well, I kind of like it all, but my favorite whiskies, certainly my favorite Scotch whiskies, I like stuff that tastes like jam or that tastes like bacon. Nothing kind of in between. So I like really sweet, rounded, full, tastes like. So, for example, I'm about to. This is an old fashioned made with a Dalmore 12-year-old, and that's like really rich and rounded, and it's got kind of chocolate orange notes in it, and it's just really sweet. It's lovely. Or I like proper Islay stuff, really smoky, like Lafroy, Lagavulin, things like that are just fantastic. So yeah, but this is a Dalmore 12, and I made an old fashioned with it, which is so basically most people would use sugar, some bitters. I really like using maple syrup. It's much easier to make, and I think it tastes great. So so you get your Dalmore.
I've never had a
Scotch whiskey. Rod, whatever you're selling, I'm buying. Ooh, an orange. Wow. All right. I need to
wow. So pretty. Look at that.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be happy getting these questions
he's
wrong.
Like, I'm ready to drink. I don't care if I get it wrong.
How is it? Is it?
That's pretty good. That.
All right, there you go. All right. Yeah.
It's good if you can batch stuff. I like cocktails you can make in advance and you can batch them.
I love those little bottles that he has.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, since he's enjoying the fun, but our audience would like to also have some fun. So if you guys haven't tried these books yet, this is your chance. Extraordinary Investigations has generously provided a copy of the Morgan file and the Midas file for us to raffle off. So you will have 2 winners to this, and he'll ship them everywhere, anywhere in the world.
Wow.
Because he's such a great individual.
He might have said that while he was drinking that drink, and it's like, yeah, books for everybody.
No, we're good. So they'll either come direct from Amazon, or if Amazon ships it. But if they don't, then I'll get them and I'll send them out from you.
Aww, thank you.
So what do they need to type in?
All right, so they need to type in. This is like one of my little.
You're supposed to say it first and then go ahead.
All right. So it was supposed to be like something, with the detective eyes, eyes. So type in, my detective eyes never sleep.
My detective eyes never sleep. There you go. Type that in and you'll have from now until episode 56.
57, I believe. 57, yes. Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. My days are...
Or 56. I'm not sure either. Yay! My detective I never see.
Yay!
Thank you. Okay, so you can type that to enter for the raffle. We're going to continue on to our questions before we go.
Yeah, that's you.
Oh, that's me. Sorry, guys. I'm having too much fun with these buttons. All right. So when we started first playing the file 1, I was like, oh my God, this is quite easy. Remember I even gave you a little I'm flying through motion?
Yeah, and then it was like a half an hour later, this is her. I was like, what happened?
Not even an hour. 6 questions later, I was like, just kidding. They're not flying through. She
got fooled.
All right. So the difficulty level definitely progresses as you go through the books. You even leave an ending puzzle, like I said before, that has no solutions. Mm-hmm. If the puzzlers needs assistance with this, is there a fan group or place that they could communicate with each other to sort of get some hints on that?
Yeah. So I've had basically just drop me an email through the Extraordinary Investigations website, and there's been a couple of people. It's been really interesting. So originally the book had the hints in it, but did not have the answers.
Wow.
So it just had the hints in it, and then I said at the back of the book, if the hints haven't helped you, just drop me an email. And that was great, but I did start getting quite a few emails, and I just thought, right, I can't, if this keeps going at the rate it's going, I'm not going to be able to manage that. And again, it's that thing about the last thing you want to do is disappoint people, or people that I would be sitting feeling that they were having a bad experience with something I put out. And so I was thinking, right, how am I going to do this? And so that's why the answers went in at the back, lightly encrypted, to hopefully avoid any spoilers, or if you do get stuck on one, you can work out that answer without seeing any others. And since I've done that seems to have worked really well. However, I do still get the odd email from someone they've maybe kind of missed a bit, and they're like, I want to know why that was the answer, or they've sort of said, I really don't want to use the answers. Could you give me another hint? And yeah, I'm happy to do that. That's great, and it's absolutely no problem at all. When it's a reasonable number of requests coming through, that's great. I love that chat. It's always nice to, and it's also useful because so there were 2 questions in the first book that I got. The vast majority of the queries were about, and so it just made me look at those questions again, and it was either the type of question or the sort of level of complexity that I'd put into it. And I just thought that's maybe a little much. And so the second book maybe dialed back a little from that style, but also that level of complexity rather than difficulty, because that's what I was really trying to do with the book. So I want it to feel that it does get more challenging as you go through it. But it was more about, so for example, it's a relatively simple puzzle, but you actually need to find the bits from different places in order to put together the answers. To me, that's about dialing up complexity, not difficulty. Yeah. And so it's just about trying to get that balance right. And so the first book is probably got a couple of parts in it that I think are harder than the second book. I think the second book, it's not necessarily easy. It's not easy to do it, I don't think. Well, you can tell me, this is always difficult when you've designed it, but I think the second book's maybe smoother. Yeah. Would be how I would describe it. So yeah, I'm interested in how you got on with it. Other than the final one.
Right, and the way that you solve these books is very interesting. I mean, like you mentioned in the intro, I mean, like you could take your time and dig deeper into the history of the characters, or simply just answer the questions and move on. But like, what kind of feedback have you gotten from players so far? Like, which path do most of them decide to choose?
So a couple of people have talked about being lost for weeks in sort of sinister conspiracy rabbit holes on the internet, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, right. But no. So there's some people have really sort of dived into it, and there's, I put a few Easter eggs in the book and like mentions of names that aren't actually significant in terms of the puzzles. You don't need to know this to answer the questions and move through the puzzles. But actually, if you were reading more widely, say online, about particular characters, or reading more widely about particular events, a name would be mentioned that was actually mentioned in a document in the book, and you would go, oh, right, okay. And so, sort of peppered with bits like that. And some people have really enjoyed that, and some people have found those things and thought that's great. Other people, have just, they've been about, how quickly can I do this? And I'm going to bash through the questions, and they see it as a real challenge. And that's cool. So, that it works hopefully both ways. What I was surprised at almost at the beginning was I got a couple of people, one quite irate email from somebody who said, it's just ridiculous that you could expect anyone to do this in an hour. And I was like, I have absolutely no idea what you mean. And it was because I'd referred to it as, it's kind of like a cross between an escape room and a novel. And so what they had done was they focused in on that escape room bit. And they were like, so yeah, I mean, if you think anyone could do this in an hour, you're crazy. I was like, I never really expected anyone to even try to do it all in one sitting. For me, it's more the novel part of it than what I was trying to do by comparing it to an escape room is really just give people an idea of the style of challenges there might be in there, as opposed to the experience they would have. So yeah.
Will you continue designing the books this way moving forward? Like, I guess
that same concept,
same structure and.
Yeah, I think so. I've definitely got another one in the same kind of structure. So probably 5 or 6 chapters, if you like, that flip backwards and forwards in time with an initial mystery that looks quite small leading into something larger. And then, there's a couple of things I've thought about. So one is around the organization. So I did think about doing XIU USA. And so doing like the Americans have set up their own version of the XIU, and so then that opens up a whole new world to use a pun of sort of story materials and sources and things that you could look at. The other one was maybe doing kind of a collection of shorter adventures, for want of a better phrase. So maybe a book that's got 3 stories in it that are maybe the equivalent of 2 files in the book.
Oh, wow.
So like that. Or then the other one is me and one of my pals have been kicking around the idea about doing the Extraordinary Investigations digital division, which would be basically a phone app of puzzles on your phone. That would be much more like short, quick, and you would get time ratings, and then you would get your agent rating, and how could you get your agent rating up by completing more puzzles faster and stuff like that.
That's like more on the go, definitely mobile, and being able to get wherever you are.
Yeah.
And then that irate player will be not so irate anymore because he can finish in 1 hour.
Yeah,
the short one.
We're being blamed again. Helen said that we're going to have her going bankrupt. She's putting in her order right now for both of these.
Oh well, don't worry, it will be a while.
Sorry, Helen, but it is enjoyable and it will occupy some time.
She loves these types.
She does love these.
With the
this is right up her
on the
alley.
internet and everything, so that's definitely her.
Right.
So I mean, this question is, is for some of the creators out there that you've mentioned about the fulfillments and selling on Amazon. How's the process? Is that like difficult to become a vendor?
I beg your pardon, sorry?
The Amazon, like how do you become a vendor on Amazon? Is it like quite difficult to...
No, it's really easy. So you have to have a certain level of technical ability in terms of managing document files and stuff like that, but none of it's particularly complicated in terms of, it's not massively user friendly. So I'm not sure Amazon makes a massive amount of money out of self-published books, and so they don't necessarily invest a huge amount in author support. That sounds like a criticism. Actually, I'm a massive fan. There's no way I could have done what I've done without the Amazon KDP program. It's brilliant for independent authors. It's an amazing service. The thought that I can publish something and within 24 hours it's available in every market in the world just about for people to download and read or to order a print copy even is just bonkers. It's just absolutely insane to me. And so I'm a big fan of the KDB program. It's difficult to defend Amazon sometimes. Their business practices are sometimes not great, as are their labor practices, but there's nobody else that could have facilitated my aspirations as an indie publisher. So, but the actual service is brilliant. Once you work your way around the kinks of the system, it's amazing. You need to be able to turn files from one kind into another and then upload them and know that they're the right, that you've got all the right, print dimensions and everything like that in, and that's tricky, and there's a bit of trial and error, and you invariably get proof copies back that are wrong, and then you have to redo them and get more proofs. But it's a great service for indie publishers and authors.
I feel like that's what in terms of like creators who don't do Kickstarter or that they want to try Amazon, it's like either or, but there's always going to be like advantages and disadvantages to these types of programs. There's no like perfect one out
maybe
there
starting off with this path, like with Amazon, and then exploring other options, like because I know Amazon is definitely going to help bring new customers, but then after that it's like you'll already have like a fan base. Rod, you already answered some of the questions that we were going to ask in terms of like future projects, and I know you have a third book you're working on. Is there anything else that you share with us?
So I some of you might have tried it. I'm in a creative challenge with a couple of my friends, both in the US actually. Lino he's an illustrator, and he sort of does like pulp adventure illustrations and stuff. They're brilliant. And he has on his phone a random list generator, and what he does is we all say, right, let's do one, and so he'll press the button and we get 6 prompt words back, and then we have to do a creative endeavor using those 6 words as prompts. Now, because it's Lino's pulp stuff, they tend to be of a type. It's all kind of slightly Indiana Jones and adventure-y and that kind of stuff. And so we did one a while ago, and I wrote a little story and stuff, and that was great. And Lino done some drawings, and some of the other guys wrote things and stuff. And then the last one did it, and I was thinking, will I write another story, or I was going to build some Lego stuff, and then I just thought, I've done that before, or that's too obvious. And so I did a puzzle experience, which was a series of PDFs that were password protected, and you opened the password. You basically typed it. You had to type in the password from the previous puzzle to open the next one. Right. And so it was just 6 PDFs, but they were nice little puzzles. And that went really, a couple of people tried it and stuff, and I shared it in a couple of the Facebook groups, and people seemed to have enjoyed it and stuff. And it just got me thinking. And so I'm in a couple of weeks, I'm co-hosting a Lego event, which is a virtual event. It would have been a big weekend event in Portugal, where Lego fans from all over Europe come together to show off their stuff and things, but it's going to be a virtual event, and the guys asked if I would co-host, and I thought, I'll do that. And then I thought one of the things I'll do because there's no evening activities, because it's a day of looking at screens, I thought I would do a Lego themed puzzle thing. So I'm currently putting that together at the moment. So again, it will be a series of PDFs of, so one is a Lego Batman kind of related puzzle, and then it opens up the next one, things like that. And we'll send a prize to whoever cracks it all first. So I'm working away on that at the moment, and what I'll do is once they've all done it at the weekend, I'll make that. It'll be freely available, and I'll put it on the Extraordinary Investigations website, and anyone who wants to give it a go can download it. And
First of all, can you just say Lego Batman again? Because your voice changed. It actually sounded like Lego Batman.
Oh, you have to. Because you have to.
Could you do it one more time for us?
They only build in black and very dark grey. So you got to do it.
Also, the second question is, where can we watch this virtual event? Is it free? Is it like something you have to pay tickets for? Like, where can we see this?
Right. That's a question. So you had to register, and I think here's what you could have won. I think registration might be closed now, but I will check and I will let you know. So,
if it is available, I will put it down here. If there's nothing here, it means it's too late.
It's the Lego Fan Weekend.
Okay.
At Paradesh de Course.
Ooh, all right. That sounds cool. All right, I think it's time. It's time? Yeah, it's time.
Well, he already started without me, but all right.
For us to start to test your mind on the hardest questions you've ever had to solve in your lifetime. And it's our segment called
Take a Drink. All right, hold on.
In this segment, you'll be tested with questions about your own game, and in this case, both of the books. So are you ready?
I'm very nervous about this. So during lockdown, we did a lot of family quizzes, and my mum, so we took turns putting together the quiz, and then we'd ask it online. And my mum did first lines of books, was one of her quiz questions. And, there was a few, there was a couple you got straight away, and, like Rebecca and, Daphne du Maurier and all all that kind of stuff. And then one of them was this line of text. I thought, actually, I recognise that, but I can't remember what it is. And it was one of my books. So I'm genuinely quite nervous that
Well, you do have a full bottle there.
Yeah. Not only that, the audience, if they played their game, they can definitely help you. They probably won't because of my choice of drink, because they're probably going to want to see me take some of this down. So I'm drinking barrel whiskey. I haven't drank this in a while. Just
nice.
I know you're a whiskey enthusiast. I've actually drank this before. It's very good. And the way we play is if you get it right, I'm going to take a swig. If you get it wrong, you're going to be drinking your delicious old fashioned over there. So let me get this ready because I'm confident. I mean, he's a puzzler. This guy. I feel like he's going to.
I'm not sure about that, but we'll see.
And you have 10 seconds.
I'm known for being really cruel, so
10 seconds from after we ask the question. Cece's gonna start it off. Are you ready, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
In the Morgan file, what was the date Claire wrote an email to Lewis regarding the evil company? I'm sorry.
Absolutely no idea. At the moment, I couldn't even tell you the year. How bad is that?
Here's my button.
Wait, you're not even gonna let him answer?
He said he had no idea, not even a year.
Bottoms up.
Honestly, at the moment, I couldn't even tell you the year. So cheers.
The only reason why I asked this is because it's actually my birthday. July 5th.
Right. Different year.
Yeah, 2016. I wish it's 2016.
Yeah.
July 5th, though. Yes. So that's why that was it.
All right, we're off to a somewhat of a start.
Stellar start. In the second question, in the same book, on the ID code words page, there were 5 flags. What country was the third flag?
Okay, I think I've got this one.
Okay.
I think it's Brazil.
Woo! I'm sorry. Way to go!
Keep going. I only chose that because that's the only flag I realized that I recognize. So I was like, I'll go with that one.
All right, that was awesome.
That last one was a tricky one, eh?
Yeah, you're 1 for 1. So here we go. Question number 3.
In the same book, what's the name of the diving suit that was sold at the auction? You're gonna have to Google that one.
I really should know that. And
I think you can figure it out.
I'm going to say Nautilus, but I have a horrible feeling it's not.
Ooh.
What is it?
He said Nautilus.
Nautilus.
This one doesn't work. Hold on 1 second. Okay.
The answer is Tritonia.
Oh, of course.
Tritonia?
Tritonia.
Yeah, I believe it's Tritonia.
Yeah?
Sure.
Tritonia.
And that's a real one. So the Tritonia was real. It was a real thing, and that was a real dude and stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
I will never forget this question. I mean, I'll
you
know
never
for
know.
sure
You
now.
might need it in Jeopardy. You
Yeah.
never know. In the Midas Project, what time is boarding on the plane ticket? Take a guess.
2105?
Oh, it's pretty close.
Ooh. We'll drink together. You're off by exactly 1 hour.
Yeah.
Same minute. Off by 1 hour.
been like,
so
oh, there's
we
a
got to
time
drink
difference.
together. Yeah. So give him a victory.
Savage.
And our last question. In the same book, what is the millimeter length of the gold photo?
Millimeter.
Well, I mean, that's the
Yeah.
photo one.
I think it's 3.6.
Woo! Oh my God! Sorry, you're late on the trigger. You're late on the
I didn't
trigger.
expect you would
She
get
did-
it right.
Wow! Right on the money. Okay.
Awesome. That was great.
I'm going to take it. I'm going to have a reset.
Okay, I was like, This is a celebratory drink.
Yeah, well, he still has that question that he
we're not done yet, sir. We're gonna give you one more shot. I'm gonna give you another sneak peek. By the way, we've received more intel that this was left for you by Keith from USB Escape, who was our guest in the last episode.
Yes, and this is good.
Well, thanks for nothing, Keith.
Watch very carefully.
Here we go.
All you have to do is just copy what I do. It's really easy. So pay attention. Johnny, 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 whoops, Johnny, whoops, Johnny, 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 Johnny. Just do that. It's easy.
I'll give you a second to think about that, and then
He's got it.
Okay.
He's got to change his hand just in case.
Okay.
Just
wait. Sorry, you have help. Mark says 2 whoops. So I don't know if that helps, but
You ready?
Johnny, 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 oops, Johnny, oops, Johnny, 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 Johnny.
You still have any more old fashioned in that class?
He did the same thing that he did for me.
Yeah. So there's something that he says. I'll play it one more time. I'm going to tell you what the answer is, but you'll figure it out. He says something before he does anything. Oh, the intel is no longer
All you have to do is just copy what I do. It's really easy. So pay attention. Johnny, 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 whoops, Johnny, whoops, Johnny, 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 Johnny. Just do that. It's easy.
Pay attention.
Yes.
There you go, sir. That was evil.
That was great.
Keith, that's pretty evil. I'll do one last cheers with you. You already drank, but this is to you, sir.
There we go. Cheers. All right. So we do have a question for you. This is not a trivia question, just a question. What is one of your favorite unsolved mysteries of all time? Do you have a favorite book or show that you recommend?
So yeah, I mean, I know it's really cheesy and naff, but you know, my son, he's now in his early 20s, but when he was a younger teen or maybe 10 or 11 years old, was obsessed with the Oak Island treasure pit. And you know, the TV show, I think is it Discovery it's on, where they're constantly exploring Oak Island to try to solve the mystery of the treasure pit. And they keep going, will this final discovery, solve the mystery once and for all? And you're like, well, no, because then you don't have a TV show anymore. But I mean, it is a fascinating thing. So yeah, that sort of stuff, I love that. And then I've resisted putting the Templars into any of the Extraordinary Investigation stuff, and I probably won't put them into any of the new stuff because they're a bit of a conspiracy theory and mystery cliche. But the actual history of the Templars and what happened to the Templars and what happened to all their money and things is fascinating and really interesting. It's been the subject of some. A lot of books and a number of films and stuff. So I think it's a difficult area to explore in any way, kind of with a fresh eye. But I do find it really interesting. So that's
absolutely. And we're gonna thank you for that, Rod. We're gonna give Rod a chance to give his cryptic forward for our next guest, who will unveil at the end of the show.
He said he needed a little time to.
Yeah, well, Mark said you actually got better the more old-fashioned you drink.
It's got to be the power of the old-fashioned.
That's
All right, so one more time. If you want a chance to win.
Yeah, so he's going to tell us later, right?
We'll let you know who the guest is, and you can address it to them and put it forward.
What I'll do is I think I'm going to put together a visual puzzle that will be a cryptic version of a TV or a movie name.
We'll let you address it to them at the end of the show.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Love to see some sweat coming down for that one. Yeah. Well, for anyone who came in late, you can still enter the raffle by typing in "My detective eyes never sleep." To have a chance to win either one of their puzzles. Oh goodness. Okay. And if you're watching this video on our IGTV or YouTube after the live stream, you can still enter the phrase in the comment section below until episode 57 airs on June 25th, unless I did that wrong.
Yeah,
June 56?
Yeah, we keep saying it's 56.
56.
It's 2 episodes later, so you only have until episode 56, which is when we will draw the raffle for the 2 winners.
Yeah. And then remember to also look for hidden letters and numbers embedded in 50 to 69 episodes and send us the answers to the question.
Mm-hmm.
We will announce the winners for Mobile Escape Game Bundle Pack or the gift card of equal value on episode 70. That's like almost $130-something or something. It's really great.
Yeah, or you can get credit to apply to season 2 when that comes out if you've already played season 1.
Yeah, their season 10 was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So next Friday, our guest will be speakers from Escape Hunt. There'll be 3 creators coming on from the UK.
Ooh.
We'll be chatting with them at various formats of games that they've created since the pandemic, because they originally were just an in-person escape room, but now they have print and cut games, digital games, outdoor games, and more.
Yeah.
So tune in next Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time to find out more about Escape Hunt.
Yeah.
And lastly, remember to like and subscribe our YouTube channel and Twitch channel if you haven't done so. And enjoy your weekend. Hopefully you have better weather than we do.
Yeah. So we're going to give Rod a chance right now. If you want to leave a cryptic forward for Escape Hunt, this is your chance, sir.
Yeah. Well, he said he's gonna.
Well, he's gonna announce what the puzzle is, and then he'll provide us with the. Go ahead.
So, Escape Hunt. What's the TV or movie theme represented by this? And then I will send you a picture.
I'm scared. He got.
I just needed to do one more button.
Well, we don't know. The audience doesn't even know, but we'll have that ready for next episode. I kind of like this. None of us know.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking. I was like leaning quite forward, and I went like this. So it's like, what movie is represented by that? If anyone says Shrek, I'm going to be quite cross.
He's like, this is it, but that's all you get.
All right. Well, there you have it. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 54 of Behind the Masterminds from all over the world. We know there's a lot of people joining us from where you are, and we really appreciate it. And
have a good weekend.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Puzzle out.
Good luck. Yeah. Invasion. Yeah. Oh. Let's go. Locked in. 60 minutes to escape. Think before you move. There's no room for mistakes. You got what it takes.